So this is how redemption tastes, not in silence, not in whispers, but in a roaring TD garden packed to rafters with fans who weren't just spectators. They were witnesses to history. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up to play. She showed up to rewrite the script, to correct every cheap shot from June, every insult left hanging in the air. The Indiana Fever walked into Boston not as underdogs, but as a force on a mission, and that mission was vengeance. The Connecticut Sun might have forgotten how their last game ended. Caitlin Clark didn't, not for a second. The eye poke, the body check, the smirks, it was personal. And when she laced up her sneakers this time, she wasn't just playing for a win. She was playing to remind the world who she is. The last matchup between these two teams wasn't just physical, it was dirty. The officials let the game slip into chaos, and Clark was the one who paid the price. The hits came in waves. Marina Mabrey's body check, Jacy Sheldon's flagrant foul. It wasn't basketball, it was borderline assault. But this time, there were 19,156 fans ready to make sure history wouldn't repeat itself. They weren't there to watch, they were there to protect, to elevate, to scream her name so loud the Connecticut Sun couldn't hear themselves think. It didn't matter that it was technically an away game. The moment Clark stepped onto court, it was her house, her moment, her arena, and right away, the temperature shifted. From tip-off, it was obvious the Fever were different, not just in energy, but in chemistry. Sophie Cunningham moved like a bodyguard with a basketball. Kelsey Mitchell played like she had fire in her veins. Natasha Howard was everywhere at once, a wall on defense and a force on offense. Even Aaliyah Boston, who struggled with her shot, found ways to impact the game with rebounds and playmaking. The Fever weren't backing down. They were pushing back. For the first time in a while, the Fever looked like a team that knew exactly who they were. And it started with Clark. This wasn't just another game on the schedule. It was an emotional reckoning. Clark had the ball in her hands more than she had in recent games, and it was the right decision. The pace picked up. The offense started flowing, and suddenly, you remembered why people were calling this team dangerous in the first place. The crowd fed off every pass, every screen, every point. You could feel the rhythm returning, the same rhythm that had built so much hype earlier in the season. The Fever were back. And they weren't just trying to win, they were trying to send a message. Clark knew what the Sun were going to do. Full court pressure, double teams, rough screens. They wanted to break her spirit. But every time they tried, she found the open woman. Every time they got physical, she got smarter. She didn't force anything. She orchestrated. And in doing so, she made everyone around her better. It wasn't flashy. It was surgical. The passes were sharp. The cuts were clean. The offense had life again. For the first time in weeks, the Fever looked like contenders. Kelsey Mitchell caught fire. 20 points on efficient shooting, hitting dagger after dagger. The Sun couldn't leave her open, but they couldn't double Clark either. Natasha Howard bullied her way to 18 points and 13 rebounds. The paint belonged to her. And Cunningham, she brought the spark. Big threes, hustle plays. She played like every possession was her last. Even Aaliyah Boston, cold from the field, found ways to contribute with unselfish play and tenacious defense. It was a complete team effort, and it looked beautiful. But the most chilling part? Clark's stat line didn't scream dominance. It whispered it. Just 4 of 14 from field, 1 of 7 from deep. But behind those numbers was magic, assists, spacing, gravity. She was controlling the game without even scoring. And by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, the Sun were out of answers. They couldn't stop her. Not because she was hitting threes, but because she made everyone else unstoppable. And then it happened, quietly, without fanfare. History. Clark reached 450 career assists faster than anyone in WNBA history. Just 53 games. The previous record was 62. She shattered it, not by chance, not by luck, by pure vision, basketball IQ, leadership. She followed it by becoming the fastest player to reach 150 career three-pointers. That's not just skill, that's efficiency, adaptability. Then came the third record, 40 straight games with 5 or more assists. That's consistency you can't teach. That's generational. The stats might not have jumped off the page, but the story they told was louder than any scoreboard. In the final 5 minutes, Clark didn't just lead, she dominated. She outscored the entire Connecticut Sun team by herself. Let that sink in. One rookie, one moment, 5 minutes of clutch basketball that tipped the scales and sealed the game. That's what greatness looks like. That's what separates stars from legends in the making. The final score was 85-77, a gritty, emotional statement victory, and the Fever earned every point. They moved the ball like a team. They trusted each other. They played for something bigger than just standings. They played for respect, for Clark, for themselves, and they reminded the league that when this team plays their brand of basketball, they are a nightmare to guard. But basketball is never just highs. It's heartbreak too. And just as the game neared its euphoric conclusion, tragedy struck. One play, one step, one grimace. Clark, after dishing a gorgeous pass to Mitchell, grabbed her right leg and limped the bench. The entire arena went silent. You could see it on her face. Pain, fear, frustration, the groin. Again, the same injury that's been haunting her all season long. This wasn't just discomfort. This looked serious. The camera zoomed in, and fans saw something they never want to see. Tears in Clark's eyes. She sat on the bench, biting her lip, trying to stay composed. But the emotion was too much. She knew what this might mean. All-Star Weekend was just days away. She was set to captain the team, compete in the three-point contest, put on a show for fans in her home state. And now, everything was in jeopardy. All that excitement replaced with uncertainty. Groin injuries are tricky. They linger. They demand rest, caution, patience. And in a sport built on explosive movement, that's a nightmare. Dr. Jesse Moore, a specialist in regenerative medicine, explained the risks clearly. Healing can take weeks, even months. And brain injury? It's almost always worse. The look on Clark's face said it all. She knew the stakes. And so did everyone watching. Coach Stephanie White offered little in the post-game interview, just that Clark felt something in her groin and would be evaluated. No timelines, no clarity, just worry. The contrast between the high of making history and the low of injury was almost too much. It was a gut punch to Fever fans, to the league, to women's basketball as a whole, and to Clark, who has given everything to this team, this season, this sport. Yet even in the heartbreak, even in the quiet moment where the noise faded and the pain took center stage, there was something undeniably powerful about Caitlin Clark. She didn't crumble. She didn't collapse. She sat on that bench with eyes full of tears, but a posture that screamed resilience. This wasn't the look of someone defeated. It was the look of someone processing the cost of greatness. The body may falter, but the will remains. And in that vulnerable moment, as fans held their breath, a new kind of respect was born, not just for her talent, but for her toughness. Because this isn't the first time Caitlin Clark has had to carry weight heavier than her frame suggests. From the second she stepped into the league, expectations have followed her like a shadow. Every move analyzed, every shot scrutinized, every comment dissected. She's had to be the star, the leader, the face, and the future, all at once. And she's done it without complaint. She's done it with a quiet fire that only burns brighter when adversity shows up. That injury, it's a setback. But for Clark, setbacks are just setups for something greater. The crowd, once electric, stood frozen. They weren't cheering anymore. They were hoping she'd be okay. Hoping this wasn't serious. Hoping this wasn't the moment everything fell apart. Even the Connecticut Sun players, many of whom had been part of the previous game's tension, looked concerned. Because when you see someone like Clark in pain, it's not about rivalry anymore. It's about respect, and she's earned every ounce of it. Teammates gathered around her. Trainers moved quickly. Coaches whispered. But in that moment, none of it mattered more than the look in Clark's eyes. Determination, grit. This wasn't how the story was supposed to end. Not on a night like this. Not after breaking records. Not after leading her team to such an emotional win. But sports don't care about storylines. They don't care about perfect endings. They test you over and over again. And Clark, she's already proven she doesn't break. For the Fever, the situation is delicate. With 3 straight wins, they've built momentum. Chemistry is clicking. Roles are defined. The offense is humming. But without Clark, the heart of that machine is missing. Yes, they've got talent. Yes, they've got depth. But Clark is the conductor. She's the gravity pulling everything together. And now, As they prepare for All-Star Weekend, they face the brutal reality of possibly doing it without her. The All-Star festivities in Indiana were supposed to be Clark's moment to shine in front of her home crowd, a celebration of her impact on the league, a spotlight event with millions watching. The three-point contest, the captain's badge, the standing ovation, all of it may now be in jeopardy. And not just for her, but for the fans, for the WNBA, for everyone who was bought into the Clark effect. Losing her for that stage isn't just disappointing, it's devastating. The league, in many ways, has been riding the wave of Clark's arrival. Viewership up, attendance records shattered, merchandise flying off shelves. She's not just a player, she's a movement, and movements don't pause easily. That's why this injury carries more than just physical weight. It carries emotional weight, cultural weight, financial weight. Everyone, from sponsors to coaches to fans, is holding their breath, waiting for news. But let's be clear, this isn't the end. It's a pause, a cliffhanger. And if we've learned anything from Clark's journey so far, it's that she thrives in these moments. She'll do the rehab. She'll get the treatment. She'll push herself harder than most would dare. Because greatness isn't measured by the number of games played. It's measured by how you respond when the game is taken away. And Clark, she's always been more than stats. Her teammates know it. The coaches know it. The fans definitely know it. That's why, as she walked off that court, clutching her leg and fighting back tears, she didn't walk alone. Every Fever fan walked with her. Every young girl with a Clark jersey walked with her. Every basketball lover who's been inspired by her story walked with her. Because she doesn't just represent Indiana, she represents possibility. Possibility that a rookie can change the league, that a woman can dominate headlines. That adversity doesn't mean failure, it means opportunity. And right now, Caitlin Clark is standing at the edge of one of the most important moments of her career, not because of a record, not because of a highlight reel, but because of how she responds when everything's on the line. So yes, the injury casts a shadow over what should have been a perfect night, but that shadow only makes the light shine brighter when she returns. And return she will. Maybe not for All-Star Weekend, maybe not for the next few games, but she'll be back. And when she is, you can bet she'll be stronger, sharper, hungrier, because that's who she is. In a single night, Caitlin Clark gave us everything. Dominance, leadership, teamwork, pain, vulnerability, humanity. That's what makes her different. That's what makes her special. Because when records, not just the passes, but the heart, the resilience, the courage to keep going, even when it hurts. So let's all do our part. Drop a comment below. We believe in Caitlin. Let her know that her fight isn't hers alone. It's ours too. Like this video if you're inspired by her journey. Subscribe if you want to ride this roller coaster with us. And most importantly, don't forget to turn on notifications, because when Clark steps back onto that court, you won't want to miss it. Until then, let's send her love, light, and strength. Because if this season has proven anything, it's that Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the WNBA, she's redefining it. And this is just another chapter in a story that's far from over. It was supposed to be a coronation, a night of triumph, of payback, of legacy. Instead, it ended with ice packs and uncertainty. That's the cruel irony of sports. The line between glory and heartbreak is razor thin. But if we've learned anything about Caitlin Clark, it's this: she doesn't break. She bends, she stumbles, but she always finds a way back. And so we wait. We wait for the medical reports, for the rehab updates, for the next miracle. Because make no mistake, Clark is a miracle in motion. Her presence has changed the WNBA's trajectory. Her story has inspired millions, and her return, whenever it happens, will be met with more fire than ever, because legends don't disappear. They reload. So if you're watching this, send your thoughts. Drop a get well soon Caitlin in the comments. Let's show her that the Fever fan base and the basketball world is with her every step of the way. Like this video if you believe in her comeback. Subscribe for more updates. And remember, history isn't made in the highlight reels. It's made in moments like these. Moments when everything is on the line. And Caitlin Clark, she's built for moments like these.